building up to West Virginia was something huge. The Hokies were sitting there at 7-0, I guess, and West Virginia was 3-5. Wasn't one of Don Nehlen's better teams.
Well, always West Virginia, Virginia Tech. It really doesn't make any difference what the records are. Don Nehlen, a coach I respect a lot. I knew he's going to have his team ready, and when you're up there ranked 2 and 3, you're going to get everyone's best shot. I mean, you just got to plan for it and prepare for it that way, and we knew it was coming.
You're always nervous when you go to Morgantown because it's never easy, no matter what kind of team they had. It was such a rival game because years ago, in the back, the Hokies couldn't beat the Mountaineers. I mean, they just were a thorn in their side. And so you felt good about it just because you were sitting there at 7-0 and highly ranked.
Virginia Tech 7-0 this season. The first time they've had that mark since 1967. And here come the Hokies trying to go to 8-0 for the first time since 1905.
When we went to the hotel, we had our last meeting, and breakfast was quiet. I mean, it's usually a little bit of chatter here and there, but I mean, everybody was really focused. And he just told us, he said, guys, this season hasn't went our way, the ball hasn't bounced our way, and if we get this win today, I said it will make our season.
Have you with us just a moment ago, we talked about the national implications involving this game, and those implications are much more a part of the picture now as Penn State lost moments ago on a last-second field goal by Minnesota.
So yeah, they kind of knew that if they could win the game, obviously they're going to be sitting in a great position at number 2.
Yeah, we was well aware that they had lost, and if we could win, we were probably going to move up a step or 2 in the rankings.
Is your team aware that Penn State lost today, and so they're, in a better position to move up in the polls?
Well, I don't know about that. They've announced it here in the stadium. I would think they're aware of it.
How does it affect them, do you think?
I don't. I worry more about West Virginia and how that back's running. And
for whatever reason, if it was in the back of their mind, but they did not play well the first half. I mean, Michael Vick was maybe one of the worst halves he'd played. I think he was 2 out of 11 for 60 yards maybe in the first half, so he couldn't find the groove. He never got into a rhythm.
Vick has thrown high, he's thrown behind his receivers a few times, just not quite as sharp as he has been. But on plenty of occasions, Vick has had time and still hasn't been able to make a completion.
I mean, we threw a bunch of different looks at Vick coming under center, and then when we went to the halftime, we were like, we got this in the bag.
Really growing up in Southwest Virginia, soccer was not really the biggest sport that you could really be involved with, but it was just something that my sister did. So from probably the age of 3, I was watching my sister practice, so I was kicking a ball on the side of the field when she was practicing. When I was at home, I was kicking a ball against the house, against the neighbor's fence, over the fence, hitting the big satellite dish. I just always had kind of a knack for it and developed a coordination for it. So when I was about 9 years old, after playing soccer for years, my dad brought this really funny looking brown ball that had points on it, and told me maybe you should try to kick this. Let's see what this is all about. So we go to this baseball field where there's this old backstop with the old the top of the fence where the barbed wire was kind of not really barbed, but it had barbed ends on the top of the backstop. So on the first ball, I hit it. It goes right down the middle. It hits the top of the fence and sticks to it. Pops the ball. So my dad said, "Well, maybe we should look into getting a few more of those things."
It was on a Friday afternoon, and I was wanting to go home, sitting in the office, and Tom Graham brought a little freckled redhead kid in that looked like about 14, 13 years old. And he said, "Coach," he said, "we've watched around and said, our son's a kicker. Would you look at him and see if you think he's got a future, see if you'd like to have him on the team?" And I thought at that time, probably I'd walk out there and see him maybe make an extra point. Maybe that was about the best to hope for, maybe get it through and just see what game. He's young looking.
So when I walked into the locker room that day, he kind of looked at me, all 5'2", 120 pounds of me, and kind of, I guess, found it entertaining that this guy was going to come up here and say he was going to be a good kicker. I'm sure he had heard that before.
They snapped one. He had a holder, then he snapped one back. When they put it down the holder, they had a holder. And it sounded like a shotgun went off. Boom! And I knew, that ball rode. That's what you wanted to see, that ball climb. That ball climbed. I knew right, it only took one kick.
When Coach Hicks came out to the field, he just went ahead and stopped us and said, well, I can tell you one thing, you're not going to play freshman, you're not going to play JV, you're going to be on varsity. We've got a senior that is the starter, but you're going to compete for the job.
That's the first time I ever heard Shayne Graham mentioned.
Beamer in a fight with West Virginia. The Hokies and Mountaineers tied at 7 at halftime. Let's go directly to Michelle.
Well, you guys, Mark Bulger bruised his right thumb in the first half. That's the thumb on his throwing hand, where he also had that bad index finger. Right now, he's getting that hand iced. And as far as we know, he is out of this ball game, and Brad Lewis will come in as the backup for West Virginia. Back up to you.
Wow.
No, we had good faith in. He had enough reps in practice, but just him being that young on a stage that big was kind of shaky. But when he came out, he actually started running the ball, and which that's what we didn't have with Bulger. Mark Bulger wasn't a sprinter or a scrambler. He's just a mechanic back there. So, when Brad came in, that actually gave us a little boost as we could scramble out and get the first down here or there.
Kendrick moved out of the backfield. Stiff moves into the end zone. Touchdown, Virginia Tech.
Well, you felt kind of good, and I can remember looking at the TV monitor and some of the light celebration was going on the sideline, and Michael Vick was yapping in the camera. Little did he know then that he was going to have to go back in and make one of the defining plays to win the game that he probably wasn't thinking about at that particular time.
You got to remember, he's still a redshirt freshman. He's still seeing things for the first time, and his first tough test on the road, and he's passing the test here in the second half.
Good high kickoff by Jimmy Kimmel. Down to Richard Bryant. He fumbled the football. It's picked up and advanced by Anthony Green. Boo Sensabaugh, number 19, not 49 Green. And there's a late flag down.
It came out of nowhere, really. I was turning around to set the block up, and then by that time, I just seen the ball pop out, and when I went for it, it was a perfect scoop. I don't know if I could have did it twice, but perfect scoop. And as I ran down the sideline, I just felt like I was in high school running the ball again, in which I know I forgot some of my moves, because I think if I would have cut back, I could have put it in the end zone. But I was just overly excited and just going down the field, and I didn't want Jimmy Kimmel to knock me out of bounds like that, but he did. If I knew it was him, I'd have lowered my shoulder a little harder.
Over in the long back, and first and goal from the 4. The fade thrown by Lewis. It is caught. Touchdown, West Virginia. Jerry Porter.
Bulger gets knocked out of the game, right? He can't come back, and Brad Lewis comes in and takes him on 2 touchdown drives in a span of 3 minutes and 45 seconds, I think. And then all of a sudden, the place erupts.
I mentioned earlier that Ricky Bussell thought that Shayne Stiff was the best running back, the complete package that they've had in a long time.
Well, let's give it to Shayne Stiff. He never fumbles, and daggone if he didn't rip it out.
Stiff again. Where's the football? Sensabaugh has it at the 32. Barrett Green belted it out, and Sensabaugh recovered at the 32-yard line.
I was actually coming to make the tackle, and then actually when I looked down, I see the ball pop up in the air, and I just reach out. I didn't know it was gonna come right to my hand. I reach out. I was going for the tackle on the play. When I reach out, the ball just stuck in my hands.
Don Nehlen says Barrett Green has been his best defender all season. He couldn't have made a bigger play at a bigger time for the Mountaineers. Watch this explosive tackle. Really lays it to Shayne Stiff. The ball pops up in the air, and Sensabaugh for the second time in a row corrals a loose football.
As I look to the side, the stands were, my team was coming out on the field, the stands were just up in the air, and it was an unbelievable feeling that, I mean, it's unbelievable to describe.
So yeah, you're thinking, uh-oh, upset in the making here, and a lot of eyes were on that game. And all those people that had left when it was 19-7, they were trying to get back in the stadium. You could see them on the hillside up there, kind of peeking over the edge, like, man, we got a game here.
Ken Dobson was, he was ex-superintendent, and he retired from being a superintendent. And what we did with Shayne, Mr. Dobson would start Shayne out at the 10-yard line right hash and kick 3 or 4 kicks, and then go to the middle of the field, and then go to the left hash, and then move back to the 20 and do the same thing. And we'd circle the ones that Shayne missed. And what we could do at that, look at the chart, he could tell Shayne, he said, well, you're missing on the right-hand side 20-yard line, let's work right there. Or he gave and then during the game, a lot of times we'd be driving the ball and Mr. Dobson would look at his charts. He knew them, he already knew. He'd say, right hash. And so I'd run the ball over to the right. I wouldn't throw a pass or anything to get it. I knew I was going to get 3 points.
So the first game I ever started was the last game of the regular season, my freshman year, against Cave Spring High School. They had a couple guys that they were pretty good, Tiki Barber and Rondé Barber. And I remember my first field goal was 32 yards from the right hash on the last play of the first half, and then played through the playoffs until we needed a game-winning field goal to get into the state championship. And a lot of people thought the coach might put the senior in, but he ended up putting me in.
I wouldn't let him get in the huddle. I wouldn't let him get in the huddle that day. I just didn't want him even get excited. You know, I'm telling you, at 14 years old, he didn't know the pressure that was on him.
Shayne was such a good kicker. I mean, good kickers, they never miss by much. You know, if they miss, it's going to be close to that goalpost. You know, they don't shank it right or hit it left, a big margin.
I knew he was going to kick in college early. I mean, I just knew early. I mean, probably his sophomore year, probably even his freshman year, I knew he could kick somewhere.
I thought, hey, this is one we don't want to see. I don't want him kicking against us. I want him kicking for us. So we gave him a scholarship right out of high school.
By my junior year, Virginia Tech was the first school to offer.
Usually with kickers, we'd come here, let them compete, whoever won the job, that's who we'd give the scholarship to. He might have been the first guy that we ever gave a scholarship to come to Virginia Tech. Usually with kickers, we'd come here, let them compete, whoever won the job, that's who we'd give the scholarship to.
I remember calling Coach Beamer when he was getting ready to walk onto the stage for a pep rally in New Orleans. And I told him that I'd planned on coming there and playing the next year. It was a pretty strong memory to be able to talk to the coach that came to my house and recruited me, and knew he was going to be my position coach and be a big part of my life for the next 4 years and really for the next 20 years.
Right now, I'm thinking the best matchup I probably have out here is trying to find my tight end, Anthony Beck, again. If he gets matched up on a linebacker in the middle of the field, I can maybe get him for a touchdown. Or, again, Jerry Porter, with his physical abilities as an athlete, to go up and make a play.
From the 18, 3rd and 13. In 4-down territory. Lewis throws, it is caught! Touchdown!
Man, when he caught that touchdown pass, I was like, this is it, guys. This is going to be the biggest game of our life. We're going to seal the deal. And then we had a kickoff, and we tackled him about on the 10-yard line, man.
Kickoff. Stiff in the corner.
After that, I knew the game was over. And then we came out and went to our prevent defense, and we were down in injuries that year. We had a couple young guys playing on the ends, and we just all scattered at that moment.
Thinking, well, Michael Vick, this is where you can make a name for yourself if it's going to happen, because what a bigger stage. And again, they hadn't been in any really close games, and so you're thinking they got no timeouts left. It was like 1:15. Stith fielded the kickoff at about the 1 or 2 yard line and only got to the 15. So you're thinking, that's a lot of real estate in front of us.
It's funny because Corey Moore actually came up to me on the beginning of the drive, right when they kicked off, and he said, "Where do we need to get to?" And I remember in pregame I was hitting from, upper 50s to 60, and you know realistically, even if you're strong enough to hit a 60 or a 65, that's somewhat unrealistic in a situation. So I had felt like 57 yards, so I told Corey the 40-yard line.
And Michael Vick now his biggest test of his young career right now. 1:06 left in the ball game, no timeout. He's got to hit a couple big plays down the field.
Well, usually when we get down in a 2-minute situation and the clock's running, I want the quarterback in charge.
Virginia Tech trying to keep its national title hopes alive. There's a start. Terrell Parham.
So, he got off to a pretty good start. I think he completed a pass to Terrell Parham. And then he had a couple other big plays in there.
They certainly cannot afford a loss with an eye toward the national title. That strength of schedule factored in. Vick on the roll, throws toward the middle. It is caught short of the first down and inbounds. Ricky Hall driven back by Gary Tompkins. He came up a yard short of the first down, and the clock runs to 45 seconds.
And then it set the stage for his run.
And I don't remember particularly, but I'm sure that we would have left it up to him, to call the play because the clock was running.
Michael Vick wasting too much time right now.
They're about 25 yards away from a makeable field goal try for Graham. Vick on the roll. He's across the line of scrimmage. Up the sideline. Very close to field goal range. Out of bounds at the 36. From here it would be a 53-yard field goal, and Graham has made one from that distance in his career.
He's back there looking to pass. Nobody's open. So he starts running. He's going backwards. And he got back to like the 26-yard line or something. And so then he takes off up the sideline, carries the ball in his left hand like a loaf of bread like he did so often. Drove Ricky Bussell, the offensive coordinator, crazy. Drove Coach Beamer crazy. But he didn't like to run to his right as much because he was left-handed. So he always had the ball in his left hand. So he takes off down to the side over there, down the sideline, and then all of a sudden, instead of going out of bounds, he turns the jets on and goes and gets another 10 or 15 yards. And gets himself in great position.
That play, I was on the opposite side playing nickelback, and we had another corner. We had 2 corners on the other side, which we seen him scrambling around. I was like, okay, he's going, but you can't depend on him running the ball. He has a gun cannon and can just gun it in there at any time. You can't bait him or anything. So he took off the sideline. I was coming across the field from the other side, and I seen that when I got back far enough, I seen that a guy we had, Shannon Washington, he was a younger guy. When he broke that contain, I said, this is scary. This is serious business now. I was hauling butt over there, and I think he actually pump faked and Barrett Green slipped, and that gave him another 10 yards after that. And then I said, okay, they got one more play.
Virginia Tech has to be so careful about being tackled in bounds and what they do if that happens. They can't waste much time. Vick throws.
He actually threw the ball, and I was probably 1 second behind intercepting it.
The officials look at each other. It is caught by Ricky Hall, but he's short of the first down, and the clock is running.
They got to spike the ball and try the field goal right here.
They spike it. And here comes Shayne Graham, the senior from Dublin, Virginia.
If you were to have a candid picture of Caleb and I before that kick, you'd probably see we both had big cheesy smiles on our faces. And, I don't think either one of us was like, man, we got to make this, or man, I hope we don't miss. We both had smiles on our faces, and we were like, let's do it. We knew what was at stake, but yet when you perform at a high level, you don't perform with the thought of the outcome. You perform with the thought of the process. And our process was to be relaxed and go through our routine and do all the things we have to do to make the kick, because if you start throwing thoughts in there of the what ifs, you start bringing in fear, you start bringing in adrenaline, heart rate, all those things, you're kind of defeated at that point. So, you know, we knew we were going to make it. Was there a chance we could miss? Of course. But we felt very confident, very relaxed.
One of the great kickers in Virginia Tech history, one of the best in the country. And this is going to be a try of 44 yards from the right hash mark, and the Mountaineers will call a timeout.
They know it's important, and you don't have to tell them, hey, I got confidence in you. I think you build that during the week, and when you're not a game-winning field goal, you better have had that relationship before then. And I did have confidence in him.
The only person that said anything was unspoken, and that was Terrell Parham. Basically gave me a cheesy grin, you know, slapped me 5 as he was running off the field, and just nodded his head as he went past me as the offense was leaving the field. And that's really the only thing anyone said besides Caleb.
Shayne Graham, the kicker, 10 out of 13 in field goals this year, 3 of 4 from between 40 and 49 yards. This will be a 44-yard try. He's the all-time leading scorer in the history of the Big East. And when we talked with Frank Beamer, he said, Shayne Graham has made every big kick we've ever asked him to make. Here's the biggest, to keep their national title hopes alive from 44 yards.
Yeah, the instant it hit my foot, you know, it's like a golfer knows when they hit a good shot, a kicker knows when they hit a good hit.
I'm thinking Jerry Porter's going to knock this ball out the air. I mean, his guy had a vertical of 42 inches, and I was thinking he's going to knock it out the air. I said, ain't no way they're going to make this field goal. I said, we played too hard and scrapped too hard.
You could see a lot of the Tech players on the sideline, like laying on the ground, arm in arm. I can remember my daughters told me that they were in the basement of my house and they were doing the same thing because they were young then. And so they were down there with Billy Height's kids, our running back coach, and all 4 of them, the 2 girls, my 2 girls, his 2 girls, they were laying on the floor, arm in arm, and they had their eyes closed. Like, is he gonna make this kick to keep the dream alive, to have the undefeated season, and then be right there at number 2 in the BCS?
I think I did say a little prayer, and I will confess to that.
It's long enough.
I picked my head up, I saw the ball going in, I instantaneously threw my arms up, started jumping.
I mean, when that ball went up, man, I just turned around and looked, and it was a perfect kick. It wasn't too far right or left. I mean, straight down the middle from the right hash. That's pretty unbelievable.
To keep their national title hopes alive from 44 yards. It's long enough. It is right down the middle. Good for Shayne Graham. There's still time in Blacksburg.
I think originally I turned to the left towards the West Virginia side and just jumped with joy, and then I turned around and got Caleb and the rest of the team. But the one image that really sticks in my mind is Coach Beamer and Captain Jody Falls, who was our resource officer at the time, just had his arm around him, and they both just had this happy but yet relieved feeling of and I just remember seeing them coming onto the field when the clock ran down, and then everybody just starts bombarding me, and I got kind of halfway picked up because the guys who went to pick me up didn't quite get a good grip, so I was kind of slipping off, but they still held me up, and it was a very very big moment to try to replay in my mind. That there's really no other feelings that I can have that would be stronger than that one.
You know, I know you've been coaching for a number of years, but as your field goal kicker took the field and was ready to make that game-winning field goal, were you breathing at all?
I was praying. I mean, quite honestly, I just said a little prayer.
I remember that I was eating at Radford, the Spinnakers, I believe is what it was called right then. And I was in Spinnakers, and the people in there, I mean, they looked at me, is he going to make it? Is he going to make it? I mean, I believe I might have been whipped in there if he hadn't made it, you know. It was that kind of deal. But Shayne, of course, put it through and beat West Virginia. I didn't buy another thing all night. It was on the house.
It was kind of funny because one of the assistant ADs just happened to be in our box at that time, Dave Chambers. And I remember after he made that kick, you could hear Chambers in the background. He like jumped up and had his fist in the air, and I think he hit the ceiling, and you could hear it in the background of the broadcast. It's like this boom. And we knew there, that's old Chambers back there celebrating. We hoped it didn't go on the air too much.
There's the snap, ball down, Shayne swings the leg through. This kick is in the air, it is good! It is good! Shayne Graham wins it for Virginia Tech. Michael Vick makes a miracle happen in Morgantown, and Shayne Graham kicks it. Tech 22, West Virginia 20.
But boy, they got to the locker room. When I went down there, the celebration was on, and that place was rocking and rolling.
Coach pointing guys out for great games. I mean, I had tears in my eyes. I mean, it was a big moment, and you know, just seeing how happy everyone was and what we knew had just happened as far as continuing to play for a national championship. We didn't feel that anything could stop us at that point.
This is the one that kept us going and got us to the national championship game. And without this win, we never would have gotten there. So this is pretty significant in the games we've won here at Virginia Tech.
Soon after my father passed away, I spent some time out there just reflecting, and I'll always be grateful for that introduction to football, and you know, wondering why I'm going to kick this funny brown ball. But you know, my dad had a vision, and he showed me how to set goals, and you know, my parents were so supportive of everything that my sister and I did that you know, I think about that elementary school field, and you know, I don't know what my life would have been without that day. And you know, it's a very special place to me, and you know, I find myself when I get down about certain things and, you know, missing my father, you know, it's kind of a place I go to. You know, sports isn't everything, but that was a big connection we had, was him kind of seeing what I had in myself and showing me what I really could do with myself. And, you know, that'll always be something special to me. You know, other kicks may have had bigger impacts on my career in the NFL, but I don't think emotionally any of them reach as high as that kick did. So I guess I still have to admit that's probably the biggest kick of my career.
you don't have